Microsoft had its Windows moment, and NVIDIA had its GPU moment. And SoundHound? Well, it's sitting at $12 a share after dropping 16% since the last time that I covered it. And the question that everyone keeps asking me on Discord is, will SoundHound finally explode from here, or is it about to continue bleeding? Because even after this 40% drop this year, the company is still up more than 55% over the last 12 months. So investors are naturally wondering what it would take for the stock to get up to $35 or $40. Well, here's what I know. Consider they just posted $42 million in quarterly revenue with year-over-year growth north of 68%. But they also burned through over $100 million. And here's what I think many of us aren't even watching. There's something inside their partnerships that tells me the real story. And if I'm right, I think it points to how fast this stock could move. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm looking at, why it matters, and how it could impact the next 12 months for investors. Now, if you're new to the channel, hey, what's up? My name is Rick Orford. I've been trading since 1999, and no, I'm not a financial advisor. That's a good thing. I break down the numbers so retail investors like us can make smarter, more confident decisions with our money. I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. And you all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investment. So I'm proud to partner with The Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by almost 6 times. Go to fool.com/ricko to get your 10 stock picks right now. SoundHound AI began as an app that recognized and identified music through listening. They were actually Shazam's main competitor. Today, they're now the underdog of AI, and they're doing way more than ever before, which is exactly why I'm watching them closely. SoundHound runs a full-stack voice AI platform called Amelia, which is software that lets people speak naturally to cars, drive-thrus, apps, and customer service phones without feeling like they're talking to a robot. More and more companies like using this technology because they can keep control over their data and how their brand sounds while still giving customers a smart voice assistant that actually understands them. But let me be clear here. It doesn't just listen for specific tones or frequencies like Alexa or Siri does. Those technologies are still very much in the past. I mean, Alexa only understands me about half of the time. But whatever you say to Amelia, she'll translate your words into code that she can read in her own language, and by using AI, she can trigger a sequence of processes to carry out actions and commands. This means you can talk like a normal person, and the system turns your words into actions without you needing to learn any new commands. And if SoundHound keeps getting this right, whoa, the gap between talking to a person and to software could almost disappear, right? Now, in cars, their chat AI automotive allows you to talk directly to your vehicle about directions, music, or information. It's the same as talking to a friend, only without the bickering or the temper from being on the road for too long. You know what I mean. And that just makes adoption a lot easier. Now, in restaurants, smart ordering and dynamic drive-thru answer calls and take orders so that staff can focus on people in front of them. And at the bigger companies, Amelia powers agents that can handle complex questions and tasks. So when you take a step back, you can start to see how this technology is quietly plugging in more and more into our everyday lives. And you can see that momentum in real deals as well, like their partnership with Jeep. They started using AI-powered voice assistants in their vehicles. SoundHound also has a close partnership with NVIDIA and has acquired Interactions, which is important because it shows they're constantly growing and more people are trusting the technology. Big brands don't risk their reputation on unproven tech, so these names they're a signal that SoundHound has cleared some serious credibility hurdles. But the more SoundHound succeeds, the more talking to tech will feel like talking to a person. And every brand will literally have its own voice. And that's the big picture. Because if they win here, they're no longer just a product. They now become part of how people interact with almost everything. Now, SoundHound's been in the headlines lately, and I gotta ask, what is the biggest pain point when driving your car? It's parking, right? Now imagine you can have all the fun driving without the stress of finding parking. And that's what SoundHound is trying to do next with a company called Parkopedia. Together, they've built a voice-powered parking agent for cars that helps you find parking and even pay for it, all without touching your phone, let alone a parking meter. Now you can just ask your car to find you the closest, cheapest parking space, and the system will use AI to scour the nav for a spot and then make the payment when it's all said and done. No more guessing if the parking lot is full. No more circling the block for half an hour. Thank heavens. There's no more hassle. And this is huge for SoundHound because it's a problem that so many people are willing to pay to solve. And once people get used to this level of convenience, it's very hard to go back, right? Which is great for long-term usage and recurring revenue, right? This is what we like as investors. But first, let's jump into the stock price because that's probably why you're here, right? SoundHound stock currently trades at around $12. It's dropped about 16% since I last covered it. But despite the recent drop, they have grown over 55% over the last 52-week period, though it is down 40% year to date. SoundHound's volatility is also high, with a beta of 2.6, so expected to move more than 2.5 times as much as the broad market does on average. So it tells me that there's turbulence in this flight path, right, as SoundHound sustains its growth. So if you own the stock, you're signing up for swings, not smooth sailing, of course. Now, if we look at their third quarter financials, SoundHound posted a personal record in revenue of about $42 million for the third quarter of 2025. That's up 68% year over year, which is a clear sign that demand for SoundHound technology is growing. More customers are signing up, and existing customers are likely expanding on how they use the platform. On the bottom line, SoundHound reported a loss of about $109 million. So it just goes to show that as investors, strong revenue growth has to eventually translate into profits, or the stock story hits a wall. So what's really driving the stock? Anyway, right? Aside from the numbers, and something that comes up on my Discord. So let's dive into some of the growth catalysts. Now, remember how I mentioned that demand was growing? Well, there's new research that's saying that US banks see agentic AI as a game changer in the banking field. And as many as 70% of banking executives said that AI agents will have a major impact on how the financial world runs. Imagine working in finance and not having to take a call from someone that's stressed about your money. You can handle a greater volume of people without having your labor force getting tired from answering the phone. And this is why around 71% of businesses say they must invest to stay competitive. And around 64% are already testing and deploying agentic AI. And these are just the big banks. Around 38% of the smaller players, like the call centers, fraud control, customer service, these are all employing robots as employees. So while many think that AI agents are mandatory, not optional, that is what's going to drive the long-term spending. And when both large institutions and the small operators all move in the same direction, to me, that signals a durable shift, not just a short-term trend. And there's even more proof of that. After seeing a demo, 88% of banking professionals said that SoundHound's technology would bring value to their business. And almost all of them, around 98%, said it beats what they're currently using. And that's exactly what you want to see as a shareholder. SoundHound's Amelia 7 can listen, reason, and act without a human needing to be there. So it seems to me that their technology is just finding its way into making itself more useful than ever before. First, it was fast food and customer service, then banks, now parking. The possibilities are really endless with SoundHound, and I see them as being in a great position for growth because they continue to stay relevant month after month, quarter after quarter. And when a platform keeps adding new use cases, it can create a flywheel where every new vertical makes the whole business stronger. So not only are they continuously improving and developing new technology to solve new problems, but more and more industries are finding ways to work with them. And this kind of setup is why they could be my next big winner, because when you combine strong demand, real-world use cases, and expanding partnerships, you get the ingredients for a serious long-term upside if they execute. But what are some of the things that could get in the way of their growth? Well, profitability is still something to be seen, right? Just this third quarter, SoundHound brought in $42 million in revenue, but it also reported a net loss of $109 million on a GAAP basis, even though if we look at the adjusted non-GAAP loss, it narrowed a little bit to $13 million. It means they're getting more efficient in their operations, but they still rely heavily on spending for growth. If revenue ever slows while costs stay this high, they could quickly burn through cash. I mean, they're still in the spend money to make money phase. And if that growth engine stalls, that burn rate becomes a real problem. And even with these risks on the table, it matters that the company is telling us about it while also reporting record revenue, issuing higher guidance, and telling us about their new deals with the big partners. And that level of transparency is important because companies that usually hide their problems usually give investors a much worse surprise later on. So with all that, is SoundHound stock a buy at these levels? And is now the time to buy the dip? Well, consider that a consensus among 9 analysts rates SoundHound a moderate buy with an average score of 4.11. And the score has stayed fairly consistent over the last couple of months. The high target price is $26, which has remained the same since I last covered them as well. And I have to agree with the analysts because SoundHound is they're already in cars, drive-thrus, call centers, and now banks. And now they can even help you park your car. I feel like there's a million ways that SoundHound could add value to the world. It's now just a matter of time because if they can keep executing, the market might eventually have to reprice how big the opportunity really is. But remember, SoundHound stock is very volatile, right? So if you're buying today, you're signing up for a roller coaster ride. If you're buying, I'd start small and add only as momentum keeps building. That way you can scale into your position as the story proves itself instead of betting the farm up front on a highly volatile name. But what about you? Do you think SoundHound is onto something? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, if you found the video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe because it'll help others find the video. It supports the channel and you won't miss out on any of my next deep dives. Well, that's it for me today in this video. I want to thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.